Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas, YouTube. It's G3 Iron here, otherwise known as Jacob Toman. It's wonderful to meet you all and to share with you all a little bit about a project that Mrs. Draconis, my wonderful wife Amy, and I have been working on off and on for the last year with some collaborative help from our kiddos. What I want to do today is share with you the story behind the story, so tell you a little bit about this book that we've been working on together as a family, and then read you a first introductory chapter, chapter 1 from the book, so that way if you'd like to purchase the book, you can get a little bit of a flavor for what the story and what the book is about. It is available over on Amazon.com. You can purchase it either as an electronic version or you can purchase it as a paperback version. Both are available for purchase, and there's of course a link down below in the video description if you'd like to maybe go spend some Amazon bucks that you got with a gift card for Christmas, or maybe just some hard-earned cash from your various hard laboring days. So this book came about really first off when my now 4-year-old was bouncing around on a plastic donkey, and I started to make some jokes about how there was a donkey knight bouncing around through the house off on various adventures. And that then morphed into requests from my children. We've got an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, she's about to be 5, and a 2-year-old, asking when we were putting our kids to bed to hear stories about the donkey knight, the supposed donkey knight. And so what we've done together as a family over the last year or so is tell stories at bedtime about this character, the donkey knight. And they have morphed and come together and coalesced into one overarching story that is, before you here in the first book presented, The Legend of the Donkey Knight. I've got to say thank you to my kids and to my wife for making this all happen. I really have simply been the creative discussion storyboard guy on this project. The rest of all the hard work of editing and reworking and checking consistency and finding proofreaders and then going through all the processes needed in order to actually make this into a physical, tangible product, that's all thanks to Mrs. Draconis, to my wonderful wife Amy, and to my kids, who incessantly asked over the last year, Dad, please keep telling us the story, and Dad, please keep writing down the story so that way you stop getting all the details wrong, because when you retell stories to children during their bedtime, they tend to notice when you get details wrong as you're telling them the same story that they've requested. All right, so that's a little bit of the story behind the story. This has been a wonderful group family project, and so without any further ado, let me dive into reading, doing a little bit of a teaser for you, a preview, as it were, chapter 1, to get you introduced and to get your feet wet in the legend of the Donkey Knight. Chapter 1, The Winter Visitor. There once was a family of farmers. They lived in the countryside with their animals and crops. In the spring they planted, and in the fall they harvested. In the summer they labored, and in the winter they stayed indoors. It was quite a regular life of an ordinary family. Nothing strange ever happened. Nothing unusual ever occurred. That was until they first met the Donkey Knight. It was noontime midwinter when a lone rider approached the farm gate. The family didn't often have visitors, especially in the winter. The sun was high in the sky, but it only gave the appearance of warmth. Snow was on the ground and the wind blew bitterly with cold. The family watched from their windows, covered in layers of clothes and blankets. The lone rider stopped close by the farm gate. "What's he doing?" wondered the farmer's family. "Who is this strange visitor?" muttered a young farmer with night black hair. His eyes peered out to see the stopped figure. As still as a painting was the rider and his mount. "Why stop out in the cold?" asked one of his sisters, a short but sturdy farmer with shoulder-length brown hair. As they were watching the stopped figure, suddenly the rider fell off his steed and the mount itself collapsed. "We better go get them," said one of the older farmers. "Whoever that rider is, it wouldn't be right to leave them in the cold." Bundling themselves with coats, furs, hats, and scarves, the farmers went out to collect the stranger and their mount. With the wind blowing sharply, the farmers had to lean forward as they walked towards the stranger. Each step they took was an effort. "Someone remind me why we're out here again?" chattered one of the younger farmers. Stopping his pace, one of the older farmers turned and replied, "Because, Vlad, we show hospitality." The one named Vlad nodded back. "As you say, Gober." The farmer called Gober then resumed his slow walk towards the stranger. The farmer's family prided themselves on their welcoming of strangers. Hospitality was a virtue in their land. When visitors came or went, it was right to make an occasion of it. Celebrations were always the biggest when new friends were made. One of the farmer's ancestors had a wise saying passed down through the generations. You never know who will buy our crops. It might just be our next guest. As the farmers approached the gate, they saw the toppled body of a horse and a soldier. The soldier had a sword strung across his back, a shield and a helmet, but no other armor. The horse was thin and starved. No hope for the horse, said one of the older farmers. Get the rider on your back, Lumpy. Lumpy was one of the younger farmers and the biggest of his siblings. He had been named Lumpy while still in his mother's womb because of the great lump he had caused her tummy. Whenever the farmers needed something carried that was particularly heavy, Lumpy was the farmer for the job. Lumpy picked up the body and began walking back towards the farmhouse. The little crowd of farmers gathered the saddle from the horse and a bundle of firewood from the horse's back and trudged back inside. Set him by the fire, said Lumpy's mother. The large farmer gently laid the visitor on an animal skin rug near the fire. Looks near dead, said a young farmer with black hair. Rain, shush your eating hole, said his shorter sister. What can we do to help? Said a farmer named Zerish, who was holding a baby in her arms. Eating is just what this visitor will need to do if he wakes, said Lumpy's mother. She began to give orders. Banna, help me get water boiling. Vlad, keep that fire by the visitor hot. Rain, go get the extra fur blankets from the trunk in the loft. Lumpy, go find Zilly and tell her to come help with dinner. Lumpy smiled at Rain. Ha! I don't have to carry something this time. End of chapter 1. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a preview. It's a children's story that we've written again and told to our kids over the last year. There's more of it yet to come. I'm currently working on book 2. The table of contents for book 1 is as follows. There's chapter 1, which you just got a preview of, The Winter Visitor. Chapter 2 is Dinner and Questions. Chapter 3 is A Change of Scenery. Chapter 4, The Trip to Brightstream. Chapter 5, A Call to Arms. Chapter 6, Grim Work. Chapter 7, Fields of Fire. And Chapter 8, Headed East. Each of the chapters are usually about 2 to 3 pages long. Some of them that get a bit more detailed can go up to about 5 to 6 pages long. The font is really large size in terms of what we wanted printed. We wanted it printed so it was large enough so our kids could read the book and identify each of the words that they were trying to sound out as they're growing up and as they're learning to read. So it's very, very friendly to read in terms of its size and in terms of its pacing. And it's very, very friendly as well if you just want to tell some stories to your kids as they are getting ready to go to bed themselves. I won't give away any more spoilers about what happens throughout the story. I'll leave it for you to find out as you get yourself a copy of The Donkey Knight Book 1, The Legend of the Donkey Knight. And I just once again need to say thank you and shout out so much to my beautiful, wonderful wife, known around here in the G3 community as Mrs. Draconis. But Amy, you've done such a wonderful thing for giving our kids, like, the stories that they're hearing for bedtime. They physically can go back through and read these stories. So thanks so much to my wife, and thanks so much to each and every one of you. If you go out and you buy yourself a copy, whether it's a physical copy or an electronic copy, thanks so much for your support. And as always, to the G3 community, I hope that this league is the league. A Mirror of Calandra drops for you.